You're watching the Tesla Live with your host, Mark Hovland.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 399. Here we are on the 19th of February, 2025. And I don't know where you gentlemen are, but it's a cold night here. But I digress. With me, as always, we have Mr. Patrick Connor joining us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello, I'm good. Well, I mean, to keep that library warm, it's got to cost a fortune. No wonder it's cold over there. That's a huge room.
My heating bills are ridiculous.
Hello, Tesla Nation. I'm happy to be here. We got a great show for you this week. Thanks.
With us, as always, Mr. Casey Green from the Mid-Atlantic. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing quite well. I mean, you got the library. I've got the art museum.
I'm gonna have to upgrade my game here.
It looks like Casey's got a lot of polishing to do on the underside of that spiral staircase. That's some impressive wood there. That's got a nice shine to it. So you must keep up on it.
Oh, indeed. I got an option for that.
He's out there with a buffing wheel every day. Absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Who we got in the chat? Oh, Mr. HEC has joined us. First one in the chat to say hello.
It's time.
That's right.
Very good. Very good. If you're in the chat room, please send us a hello where you're from. I'd like to see that during the show. If you have any questions, let us know.
Yeah, we were having a little chat, and then it said we were in the middle of it. Start the show.
There you go. There you go. Well, speaking of the show, we got a bunch of news to go over as regular. Not a big surprise there. But our first story is one that we've talked about in length in a few shows.
Yes.
And this one is about the Tesla Semi having a place to charge. And it looks like Tesla has taken the bull by the horns and have decided that they're going to open up their first MegaCharger site for semis exclusively in the Los Angeles area, more directly down near the port of Long Beach. So I think it's the 110 and the 405 interchange area is where this new facility will be built. Currently, the location has a small office building, a few floors on site, but apparently that's going to be demolished and the site is going to be reworked. So it has 12 MegaCharger sites, and it's going to, stalls, I guess that would be. And it's also going to have a small building, which will house washrooms and refreshments and such for people that are staying there to charge for the 20 minutes to 30 minutes it's going to take if they're getting a 70% charge, anyways.
Yeah, they're going to need that until they have the sleeper cabs. But even then, you still want at least the washroom facility.
Right. Absolutely. And apparently, since Tesla is flipping the bill for this complete location, it's just going to be for Tesla semis, nothing else. So that you won't be able to, use a Freightliner to charge. There's going to be no conversion. It's just strictly a Tesla Class 8 site for charging.
It makes sense. Right now, Tesla is the only one using MCS2 in the world, and so everybody else is using some type of CCS or MCS. Or the M3 is what they're trying to get to, but it makes sense.
And it is interesting that they've selected close to the port of Long Beach. Obviously, it's a busy area for transportation. You've got containers coming in and out of the port. You've got on the 405 there, you've got people going north-south into the greater Los Angeles area. And not surprising that you could probably pick a number of places in the greater Los Angeles area that would make sense because I don't know if you've never been there, man, it's freeway city. There's freeway interchanges all over the place. There's a lot of highway that runs through the metropolitan area. And, the interchange here certainly makes sense for being able to hop on some traffic east-west and north-south.
Yeah, I was just looking at the map, and okay, you mentioned 405 and 110, but there's also the 109, the 710, the 603, I-5, of course. Highway 10's not too far away. It's yeah, you can get pretty much anywhere in the continent from here.
So the pharmacy center here is going away, and then where the current parking lot is where the new building will be, or the other way around?
Well, they're going to demo that looks like a 2 or 3 story building there. That's going to be flattened. And once it is, I think some of the redevelopment is going to take up a bit of the footprint of that building. And the new building that's going to go in is going to be a smaller footprint, I understand.
Yeah. Let me go back. Okay, yeah. So it's going to be in that corner there. So they lined them up for us perfectly. So right there where that other parking lot is, the existing parking lot is going to be the facilities.
Yeah, so that's a much smaller building compared to what's there now.
Well, I mean, you got to fit 12 semi trucks and room to turn around, pull in.
Exactly. And this is exciting news. Like, this is the first step allowing, and this will be accessible by the public that owns these trucks. So it's not like the other megachargers that are out there, or partial megachargers with Frito-Lay, PepsiCo. Tesla themselves have them at their site, but this one will be allowed for anyone. And of course, it's a limited group of people that have these semis at this point, but it will give them the ability to test out a location, to understand what the charging is like, and to direct people to it. So it will be real interesting to see its use, how much use is there, how much it will be operational, how full the stalls will get. With 12 stalls, you think it's going to be, there's a smaller amount of groups that will use it at the outset. But again, this is not built yet. This is just, they've indicated that they will build here, but it's going to take some time to get this megacharger up and running.
Yeah, and you have to start somewhere. I mean, I remember when the first supercharger opened, it was at the design studio near SpaceX, and I'm thinking, okay, how the hell does that help me? But now look at the network. I mean, so...
That's exactly right. Back then, Patrick, I bet you had no inkling of the idea that it would be as such a large network as it is today.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Yeah, and it's the only reason that Tesla is my vehicle of choice, is that it has such an incredible network and they're reliable. And I've driven other EVs and they're not reliable and it's a pain. So yeah, this is one of their biggest advantages, that they look at the whole ecosystem and say, okay, what does it take to make this work? Not just, this is what I do and I don't care about the rest. It's someone else's problem.
Right. By they, you mean the other networks, not the other cars, right?
Well, some of the other car manufacturers have said things when they get asked about charging networks. They say, we make cars.
Yeah. But I meant versus, the stations on the other networks are not reliable, versus saying that the cars themselves are not reliable.
Right. Yes. And the automakers don't feel like they have to. So if you don't want to, if you're some legacy automaker, you should get a seat on the board at some charging company and make sure that reliability and uptime and placement and all these things are being managed properly, because that's what your customers depend on. And we heard about, Jim Farley's road trip when he was like, this is horrible and let's go with NACS, because, and so that's the, I don't know, it's Tesla's biggest advantage. And it's because they look at the entire ownership experience and say, how do we make this better? Not just how do we make our part of it better and let somebody else worry about the rest.
Exactly. And then the majority of them have now joined up to form IANA, or are already a part of Electrify America. But how many of them do you think actually attend the meetings and the planning, or do they just get the reports and like, okay, next thing?
Yeah. Right. It's a token effort if they're even a member.
Yeah, you heard a lot of bluster about these companies, joining multiple networks or teaming up with other automakers to push a network forward. And even after all this time, these other networks are still useless. Like it's sad to see, people that have EVs and are having a difficult time going from region to region, state to state, because it's just the systems are so unreliable, and you're just not aware of whether or not when you get to your next charge stop, if a charger will be available, broken, or missing completely. There's a lot of craziness that goes on with these other chargers, and there seems to be no accountability to make it any better. It just seems that there's a bunch of empty promises and great press releases about how the network is flourishing and we're adding X amount, but there's still a lot to go to even get close to what Tesla's network has been doing now reliably for 7, 8, 9 years?
Longer than that. 2012.
2012. Right. So here we are 13 years in.
Yeah.
So, but again, yeah, Patrick, you're right. You got to start somewhere. This is the first one, and we've been looking forward to the first one, and it'll be interesting to see that now. Do they start to create the first run like they did on the West Coast between Los Angeles and San Francisco? Is that going to be the corridor they're going to start with first? Because of course, as soon as they add a second one, now we have a route.
Yes. A public route, exactly.
Yeah.
And what HEC was just asking about, like, do we think we'll open any similar ones? Half a dozen by the end of 26. That's very reasonable. They had they started with 2, and then they think they ended up the first year with 6 in 2012. So this is very doable.
Yeah, it's not quite as easy as the supercharger spots because you can't just put it in a Target parking lot or a Walmart parking lot or whatever. You need a lot more land for the trucks, but it'll be interesting to see who they do partner with.
Yeah, and not just the land and the power, but also the space to park the Megapack, because that's the only way this is going to work.
You can't just draw that right off the grid.
Yeah, so that means that these sites will all have some sort of a battery storage system to pull from the grid, reliably over a period of time, save that up so they can dispense it quickly to trucks that are going to take a lot of the juice all at once.
And they can get practice with Colossus. That's 100,000 GPUs pulling from Megapacks, which are, the Megapack isn't, charging for be running offline. It's charging. It's as a buffer just to smooth out grid power. So
yeah, and they could have AutoBidder running on it, so they're charging it up at night, dispersing the power during the day, selling back to the grid during peak times, doing some arbitrage. They could actually use it for more than just its first needed purpose.
And they could, they could have a reserve at the top because they know when you're navigate. So that would be what you need right there.
And of course, Tesla collecting the data as to trucks en route to it. They could make intelligent decisions about selling power or not selling power based on trucks that are routing towards that location. That would be interesting to see.
They removed the DC bus from V3 to V4, right? What if it's because V4 is going to be expected to be running with a Megapack, and you can have your DC bus running between the Megapacks instead? It's a lot easier to get putting up in the air than it is to trench it, or from cabinet to cabinet if they're touching.
Possible.
Interesting.
Yeah, so looking forward to this. Also, I haven't checked. I should have done it before the show, but I haven't checked supercharger.info to see if they have added it to their list as a permit or something. But if you're interested in that, you can certainly visit their site once they get it posted. And we have all sorts of people that will go and add information about that charger as the build happens. So if you have interest in seeing the progress, I would definitely recommend that website. But we shall see. And again, it's not under construction yet, but they have indicated that that's where they're going with it. So, shout out to Brian for Futuraza. We had the conversation just yesterday on his channel about this new site as well.
Oh, okay.
But it will be interesting to see what vehicles or what companies are charging there. Because, of course, if they're distribution companies like Frito-Lay or PepsiCo, they really have got their own network set up for charging. They go do their routes and they come back to their start point, charge up overnight and do rinse and repeat. So it will be interesting to see who starts to use this location. And this may also signal that as this station gets built, it could be that Tesla is starting to release to more smaller companies or owner-operators that are going to require the charging ability in that area in order to support the truck's movements, because they won't have the money to put in their own high-powered mega charger at their site. Very good, very good. Here's a kind of an interesting story that came in this week. And this is about batteries and the 4680 formula that Tesla has been using and refining over time to give them a leg up with efficiency and cost reduction for battery packs. Tesla has filed a lawsuit against Matthews International Corporation. And the lawsuit is claiming that Matthews has been selling its dry battery electrode technology worldwide. And Tesla's claiming that this is their technology that was pilfered from them somehow. And this lawsuit was filed back in June of 2024. And a district court just today or yesterday, for last Friday, they denied Tesla's request for a temporary restraining order against Matthews. The ruling indicated that according to the judge, that Matthews' claim on its dry battery electrode technology is because of their development of the technology, not because someone stole it or took part of it from Tesla, is what this court judge had indicated. So this is kind of interesting that Tesla has sunk a lot of R&D and time to get this battery pack with this new technology out of the gate. We remember back in Battery Day when it was first announced, which was a couple of years ago now, that and it's taken some time to get to the point where it's an all dry manufacturing process. We've had that they couldn't do all of it, that they could only do half of it. The electrolyte had to still be a slurry, that they had to change that. They've been modifying it as time goes along, as they're getting better results. But this is something that Tesla has really bet a lot of their future on to lower the cost of batteries and increase their efficiency. And it is interesting that this other company, Matthews, somehow has a similar formula and is now marketing it. Certainly, I can see that there is a plus that if there is another company that has it and starts to spread it amongst others, that's really going to push others towards that same technology, lower the cost of EVs overall because of the battery prices, and it's a benefit to the consumer in the end. But I can understand why Tesla wants to protect their property that they believe is theirs. But this particular court judge disagrees with their argument.
Yeah, I mean that's what patents are for. So at this point now, they have an appeal on it, right?
Yep.
So it'll be up to if they feel that this judge made an error, it'll be up to them to get another set of judges to see why it was an error, and then we can see what becomes of it. But hopefully this isn't like we've seen in the past where they had corporate espionage and they just were better at covering it up. But at the same time, having more options out there will force them to lower their prices, both of them, and we will win as consumers.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So I looked at the patent here that Matthews has, the 727 patent, and it cites Maxwell and Tesla patents from 2023 as prior art, which was interesting. I don't know what all legal actions Tesla has going, but in addition, so this was not a patent violation; it was theft of trade secrets. So that's a little different than just taking Tesla's patents. It's also getting their stuff that they have not made public and using those methods. I don't know, were they one of the suppliers that Tesla was using? And you often have to share a lot with the supplier if you need some change to the tool or their equipment and why it needs to be changed. And so it's certainly possible that they learn things from Tesla, put it into their products that they're now selling to other people that they shouldn't have because it should have been under NDA. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. In the end, the pace of innovation is what matters. And like you said, Mark, this is going to disseminate throughout the industry. The consumers are going to be the ones that win eventually. But theft is not the right way to do it. Not that I'm saying that's what happened here, but it will be fun to see how it turns out.
Yeah. Before we go too far, HEC reminded us of the double-decker charger at Giga Berlin. And that's relevant in not just this, but we spoke recently about parking garages and whether they could get superchargers or not based on their construction. If you build this, you could use that, not for the semi trucks, but you could definitely use it for.
I was going to say the semis would be a bit large to fit on an apparatus like that.
But you could use it for the others to double, triple, quadruple your density, which is kind of cool.
A boring tunnel, semi-sized. There's your other layer of parking for charging.
Yeah, exactly. It's 40 stories down.
It'll be nice and cool down there
in a parcel of land.
Hopefully they're loops, or they have the turnstile like the old trains, the steam trains.
And since we've talked about that, we may as well add that today Tesla is updating their software for a certain amount of superchargers. Is that right, Casey? Have you seen this story?
There are a handful of superchargers that are getting tested for queuing. So we just talked about it before. I don't think anybody's got any pictures of it, but you're pulling up to a site and it's going to be overloaded. They say, all right, you're number 3 in line. We'll let you know when you're ready.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see that they'll be able to point out the stall most likely that will be yours, and probably even give you some sort of a countdown as to when they expect that your stall will be ready for you.
I wonder if they've had this in here the whole time, because remember on the holiday update, we got the, as you pull up to the stalls, it'll tell you don't use 3A, it's broken. Even on our cars, it's big bold, don't go there. And then additional help, the light on the supercharger that says Tesla is out. So I wonder if they could go a step further and say, hey, this one will be filling up. It's a V2. You're going to go ahead and park on 3B, and she's going to park on 2A, and then filter them in to further increase the throughput, even on those older sites. That would be fun.
And I even think of the ability with the software already that they start to see that this particular site is full or has got a queue going on. Then they alert the next guy that's coming in and say, you know what? You should skip this one and go to the next one 15 minutes down the road because you're not going to have as much of a queue line.
Exactly. Like it would be just like the navigation itself. Hey, it's going to take between this one and this one. It's going to take you a 2-minute diversion. But if you're already there, it's like, hey, it's a 10-minute drive. You've got the range. Do you want to just go down to the next one? And then you can say yes or no, and then not have to wait when you get there. Which this is all coming from the mothership, where it knows what we're all doing as far as what we've told it we want to go to, and it can help
Right.
orchestrate.
The queuing feature will be nice. I know that. So on my first drive to San Diego, when I was going through LA, I stopped at this one spot, and they were all full, but I was the only one in line. And somebody that worked there said, "Hey, please don't block this. Can you park while you wait?" And so I did. And then someone else came in, went exactly where I was now blocking me, and then they took the next available spot. And I'm like, "Hey, I was here." So then, of course, I pulled out, and this time I stayed there so that I could get my spot. Even though I'd been asked not to. And luckily someone else moved pretty quickly, so it didn't really matter. But this way, you don't have people swooping in. And the person that did that, they didn't know. They just saw me parked. How did they know I'm waiting in line? So hopefully this helps resolve some of that.
So that's actually pertinent right there, because what prompted them to do this? Wes announced, or Tesla announced. One of them announced that this is coming in response to Darren from Drive Tesla Canada had put a picture of one of the latest supercharger fights. There was this this middle-aged gentleman, a little shorter, a little rounder, and he was going ballistic on this Indian family. And it's my turn. Blah blah blah. I've been waiting, and then you hear the mom shouting, and she's like, "Just calm down. It's just a charger." And then she's calling her boys back, and so Tesla said, "All right, yeah, coming in now."
Yeah,
it was heated.
If I would have been a jerk, I could have been in a fight like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the first one we saw was fists were flying. I don't know if they were landing, but they were flying. And then this latest one, he was yanking the cable and flinging it around, and it was violent. I mean, it was already, but it was going to get physically violent on the participants rather than just shouting and tugging and stuff.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The more and more people that become EV drivers, that you're bound to get a few hotheads, and of course, a situation where you're trying to charge and it's taking you longer than you expected, or you're late, or whatever. It tends to flare people up, and unfortunately, some of these circumstances happen. So hopefully, the queuing at these busy sites will allow people to, be a little bit more calmer and understand where they are in queue and what stall to be directed to. I think that will be helpful.
The only thing I see that might need addressing on this is, like, say everything's working and then the dead fronts break off in somebody's from somebody's like Model 3 or an old Model X or something. How are you going to let the system know in time that the reason nobody's charging on this one is because it's broken, and not that there's a jerk? Actually, it wouldn't even be that there's a jerk, because he will have left and unplugged, and all of a sudden nobody is taking their turn when it says go to 7A.
Yeah, that is possible. So again, this is not going to be implemented everywhere. Apparently, the software is just going to be enabled at certain superchargers that they know there's an issue with, high amount of use and some queuing. And obviously, again, the great thing about owning the network yourself is that you can keep track of this, and the system can alert you as to particular sites that need this type of intervention.
I think I know how they'll know. So I'm opening up the app real quick and going to locations, and let me go over to charging real quick. Am I not allowed to charge because I'm plugged in? There we go. I want the fast ones. Oh, 72 to 325. All right, so I'll pick this one here. It's got 4 open, and then I'm going to not navigate to it, but I want to report an issue. And so I can say damage poster connector, and next, and then okay. So you add a photo and you add additional comments, and let's go on to the next one, and I'll hook up HDMI and show you guys the workflow.
Okay. Next, let's move on to Cybertruck getting its 5-star safety rating from the NHTSA. So
that's not possible. It's a death machine, Mark. I don't think you've read the internet. That's what they say. Look, it's got an angle.
It's got an angle. It cuts people like julienne fries. Just cuts right through them.
Driving down the street, leaving bodies in its wake.
Well, apparently its demise has been completely overwritten by the NHTSA. They've given it a overall 5-star safety rating, and this applies to both the 2024 and 2025 Cybertruck, and includes obviously both variants. And as Patrick mentioned, there were a lot of critics out there saying that the Cybertruck is unsafe due to its unconventional design and of course, material being the stainless steel. But they put it through their regular test. They did the front crash test, the side crash test, the rollover resistance, and again, it earned 5-star safety on each of the tests. So it leaves with a happy 5 stars on everything. So that is great to hear that the vehicle is as safe as other Tesla vehicles, and that's a big plus. Now, hopefully, maybe other places like Europe and other places get wind of its incredible safety, and it can open some doors to some other areas as time permits, and of course production permits. But it's a good sign.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, we know that Tesla makes safe vehicles. They have a history of great crash test scores. And for everybody who said, "Oh, the Cybertruck's going to be different," I'm like, what makes you say? Just because you're judging the book by its cover. You know that Tesla can do the engineering behind the scenes. They know how to do this. Like, oh, there's no crumple zones. You can build in crumple zones. I don't. It's just because the exterior is steel doesn't mean it's not going to crumple, or that you can't make crumple zones. It was ridiculous.
Exactly.
I've got all these things all over the place. So let's say we had a problem with North Charleston Supercharger. We come over here to report an issue, and then we could say damage board or connector, and then we say next, and then we give them our comments. Say 3A. Oh, actually, up there 3A. And we give it a photo, and then we give our additional comments. And
right.
Just like that.
So yeah, they're going to have smart software that's monitoring this stuff, and they will have these reports from users who are saying, "Hey, this one's busted." And as soon as they get a report, they can take it out of the network. They can do some self-diagnostics, maybe even automatically, and see if they can get it working again. And then you get a couple reports. Okay, you take it down line. Now you schedule it for service and take it off until it's fixed.
That's right.
Yeah, another benefit of owning the network that you're managing and deploying.
Right, and having real-time data and having it, there's just so many things that they're doing right that, I going through Salem.
We wish some of the others out there would just take a page from the book. It's already there. It's printed, it's published.
Yes, right.
There's no secret sauce here. It's just follow the leader. Like, do it the same, and guess what? You'll have a successful network as well. And others will flock to your network because, again, no one outside of Tesla is doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. They haven't patented, or they have, but they haven't done it in such a way that that they want to block you from using their technology for these types of things. They opened it up. They said, "Come on in and join NACS." They said, just tear down our car and you'll see the best way to do it. Copy our homework.
Yep. And this next story is something, again, that we've talked about several times in the past. And this is about, they believe that the turning stock will be making a reappearance on the Model 3. So there's a number of people that believe that with the addition of the turning stock, or keeping the turning stock in the refreshed Model Y Juniper edition, that it makes sense that they're going to be introducing that again as a future update for the Model 3 Highland. So we had speculated that, well, if they're going to keep it there on the Juniper, then it would make sense that it comes back. So it sounds like the turning signal experiment has ended.
Right, but they only brought back one of the stocks, not both.
That's right. They did eliminate 50% of the stocks. So a cost savings was had.
And people only screamed about the turn signal one. No one was screaming about gear selection as a major problem. Yep. Okay, you want me to touch some other spot or whatever, fine. Yeah, but turn signals you're doing dynamically while you're driving. You're not, this is not a manual. You're not shifting gears a lot while you drive.
Right. And on the cars without the turn signal at all, they have the what do they call it? Smart selection, magic selection. Push the brake and it'll figure it out. And then on later updates, it'll even handle K turns, 3-point turns basically. You hit the brake, it's like, oh, they can't go any further. Let's go ahead and switch to reverse. You hit the accelerator and now it's in reverse instead of in drive.
And for those who miss the days of a manual transmission, use the lightning pedal with modulation, and you can pretend you're still driving a standard. It feels the same, trust me.
You got to make the noises too.
I wonder if exactly in the upcoming Ferrari and Porsche.
Right? Yes.
Next, this is a big win for the Boring Company. The city of Dubai has started a process in creating a boring company loop in the city. So they have decided that they want to link some of the city core with underground tunnels using Teslas to ferry people around underground. And they see the benefit in avoiding the ever-growing traffic in that large city, and also being able to stay out of the elements, which are different elements than we would experience here. You've got extremely high temperatures. You've got sandstorms, and you've got, again, the amount of traffic that's on the current streets to avoid there. So this is interesting. They're going to start with their first phase of approximately 17 kilometers or 10 miles that they're mapping out. And they also see that if this is successful, they've mapped out a large amount of additional stations and definitely longer stretches that's going to spider out through the city. So this is a win for the Boring Company. We haven't heard much of other Boring Company loops outside of Las Vegas. So this is a big win for them. And of course, they cited in the article, which the link is below if you'd like to read it, but they've cited that the people that were approving this certainly had been in Las Vegas to test out the current loop and see how it was working there. And again, that's a living white paper for the Boring Company that they can point people to and show its successes, and actually have figures on the number of people that it actually transports around with conventions or without conventions, or certainly in between spots like hotels and convention centers. So this is great news for them, and it will be interesting that they'll have a group of people to build this. Certainly, they'll probably use some local help as well, but they'll have to traverse an ocean to get to the job site and be there for some time, I'm sure, putting this particular first 10 miles together.
So do you think they're going to fly Proof Rock, or are they going to put it on a boat and send it across?
Proof Rock is still rather large. I gotta
That'd be
believe that
some
they'll
heavy
probably
air
put
freight
it on a
costs.
boat. Would
That's
be
going
my
to take a
guess.
lot of stamps to go by air.
Yeah,
It's definitely going to be
exactly.
by boat.
Are we going to leave it there and just make a new one here, or?
Oh,
No, they're going to just give it a longer extension cord, and they'll turn it around and just head it back towards North America. So
just take the shortcut through the core.
Actually, that'll take care of the drive between the continents problem we've been having.
And then, of course, they'll be able to license that tunnel and start ferrying people from North America to the Middle East.
That's something to think about.
I gotta believe with the reusability that Tesla is all about, that they will definitely take it back. They will bring it back.
Yeah,
I don't know if they have extensions and other expansions planned there. Maybe it does stay, and because why not have multiple? Why not have one? Have one per continent. Do it in whatever job needs to be done there.
True.
And then a spare. So
yeah.
The folks were talking in the chat, and I wanted to bring up the gravity of the situation. Run out a certain amount of downhill adventures and slopes for our friends at Nikola. They've reached the flat patch, and they've rolled to a stop. They declared bankruptcy.
Wow, was that today?
Yeah, Nikola declared bankruptcy today. They were looking last week, but it was official today. And they say they'll continue to service customers, like people who just bought their cars last month, or their trucks last month. And they also claim that they finished servicing all the ones that needed new battery packs from their not contaminants in the cells, but the welds were contaminated. And their version of the Quad Squad said that all the trucks are still in the desert. So did they just buy them back, and then that solves the recall? Who knows?
Interesting. I'm surprised they lasted this long. After the Hindenburg research paper came out, I don't know why anybody thought that would be a good place to invest their money.
Yeah, they're still on the market. So if you haven't already got out, I know this isn't a financial site, but personally, I would suggest getting out. Because once they're gone, they don't have enough assets to pay for the stockholders. They don't have enough assets to pay their collectors, their bill collectors. So
yeah,
there won't be anything left to distribute. But that goes back to, we talked about, why waste the extra energy on hydrogen. I don't think it's viable with today's tech on land. I don't even think it's very viable with future tech, but I can't predict all the future tech. But for the foreseeable future, I don't see how it's viable for any land transport outside of specialized cases. Like, hey, we've got a mine and there's no electricity to the mine, but we can put this at the top, or like that one island near Scotland where they get so much wind and solar that they just bottle it up and put it on a ferry to get their excess renewables to the mainland, because it was too expensive to increase their grid connection. So they just bottled it up as hydrogen and sent it across.
Yeah, and in that same story, Toyota is introducing its third generation of their hydrogen car. So
oh man,
it's not ending. It's still out there, but it's certainly losing when it comes to the race between electricity and hydrogen. But I don't know if someone like Toyota wants to keep doing it. Again, the research can't hurt. But certainly for someone that's purchasing and using their hard-earned dollars to select a transportation mode, there's a whole lot of issues with it. Just using it as a passenger car, and as Casey mentioned, as a truck as well at this point. So I don't fault them for the research. I don't fault them for moving ahead the technology. Maybe someday it will be great, but at this point, I wouldn't be betting my dollars on it.
Right. And if you see like this awesome deal on a Toyota Mirai, or when Honda jumps back in, they'll probably have some money on the hood. Or Hyundai has been really good at managing how many they do for credits and how many are available. If you happen to see something like that on a Hyundai, what I want you to do is go and ask owners of the vehicle how it was. And then I want you to go to the stations that you'll need to use and ask anybody you see there what it's like. And then
I'll give you a pretty clear picture, I imagine.
even if you do that and you get all these great answers, there's no guarantee that it'll stay open. One of the Mirai forums that I read occasionally, there was somebody talking about how there was a Shell station near their house and it worked great. And then a year into their lease, that station shut down. And now it's like, okay, the nearest one's 100 miles away. That doesn't work for me at all. So
200 range.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So whereas with electricity, it's slow on a regular old home outlet, but it'll work. When I got my Model X for the first year and a half, I just used a regular 120 volt NEMA 15.5 in my garage, and it worked fine.
Oh, and you could put your own stations in your house. You can't do that with hydrogen.
Exactly. Yes. A few thousand to an electrician or a couple million for a hydrogen station. Which one is the better financial choice? Let me think really hard. I can't believe Toyota keeps going down this rabbit hole.
Yeah. The natural gas fill for Honda was what, $4,000 to put natural gas in your garage and it would tap into your furnace. But that went out long before Honda stopped making natural gas cars. So, nothing. Mm-hmm.
Well, on that happy note, I think we will wrap it up for this week, and let's move on to shout-outs. And I understand that, Patrick, you have a particular shout-out.
That's right, and thank you, Brian, for the reminder there. So the Portland International Auto Show is starting tomorrow, and the OEVA will be there, and Brian himself is going to be there for a couple of the days, so you might see him if you drop in. When you get there, look for Electric Avenue, and if you go hit up the OEVA X feed, you can find a discount code to get your tickets to the Oregon Auto Show or Portland Auto Show.
At a little bit of a discount. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I can see Casey trying to book his flight right now. Casey, any shout-outs?
Several. All right. So first up, coming up on Friday. Oh, first before that, haven't I already liked the show? Give it a thumbs up. It doesn't want to do it, but you give a thumbs up. On Friday, you'll catch us on the Tesla Life Express, same time, same place. On Sunday, 1:10 p.m. Eastern-ish. You can find me at youtube.com/KCGreen or x.com/gcustom. But for now, I'm not yet monetized on X, so go to youtube.com. But maybe this weekend I'll be monetized on X, and it won't make a difference.
Ooh.
We'll see. Then on Sunday, on Monday, come back again for the Tesla Life Express Edition 2, and then one more 2-day period, and you'll catch us here again on Wednesday for the live show at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Very good. Very good. And as Casey mentioned, give us a thumbs up on the video if you could at this point. You've watched the whole thing. There's nothing left for you to do. So go ahead and do that. And if you haven't subscribed, press that subscribe. Helps out a small channel like ours. We would really appreciate it. And with that, we will catch you next time. And together we'll find out what's happening in the Tesla life. Thanks, Lee Moon, for the music.
Stay positive. Test negative.
No fireworks.
Okay.